Welcome back. So I asked my assistant Caitlin to pick out something on printables to print on the XL. She picked these Lego inspired flowers by 365 Prints. Each of the different colors is a separate file. We just downloaded the regular size. The pot is about 6¼ inches or 158 millimeters. These are the speeds for the 0.32 speed profile. This print will take about 4.5 hours, and we did 20% infill. She chose the Prusa in Galaxy Black in the PLA for the pot. Let's see how it turned out. The Galaxy Black always looks really cool. I wish that seam had run consistent through the entire print. I'm guessing that we did nearest, and so that lip looks a little different. But overall, it turned out really good. It's interesting that the inside's kind of hollow, but it's got that area that we'll be able to snap the stem into. And it's got just a little bit of texture, I feel like, with that Galaxy Sparkle. The next print is the stem. This takes about 3.5 hours. I have several colors of green, but it's hard getting a plant green. So Caitlin chose the eSun brand in Pine Green PLA. I've gotten so used to ignoring the warnings on the newest slicer that we did have a warning about the supports, and I just assumed that it would be fine, that the supports would be real smooth, and I should have included supports. We did have a little bit of sagging on below the stems there that would have done a lot better with supports. We do get some fine stringing on the stems, but they don't leave any marks. They come off real easy. Next is the flowers. These take about 47 minutes each. We ended up printing all 3 in one go, so it was a little over 2 hours, like 2 hours 20 minutes or so. And Caitlin chose white for these. These turned out cute, just solid white, but Caitlin saw that someone had actually done a 2-color flower, so she went back and sliced it again so that it would be 2 different tones. She split them to just be 1 at a time. And I'm glad that she did this because we ended up with an issue on the XL. So when it comes time to do the color change, the white unloads fine, but the sensor still thinks it's loaded, so it doesn't let us load the black in. I try several times and can't get it to work, so I just thought, you know what, it's 1 single flower, let's try it again and let's just see if it happens again. So I start the print over with white again, and I have the same issue again. The white filament pulls out fine, but the sensor still thinks that it's loaded. So I think maybe there's a little portion that broke off. So I remove the Bowden tube and I don't see anything. I flip open the idler door, which was one of your comments on a previous time that I had this issue, and I don't see anything in there. There's nothing, there's no piece of filament that I can pull out. I don't see anything that I can do. So I go ahead and load the black filament and think, well, maybe there is something still stuck somewhere. If I can just get this loaded all the way through the tube, maybe that will help. The black comes all the way through the tube. There wasn't anything stuck in there, so I go ahead and back it up a little bit and reattach everything, put the door back, and screw the tube back where it goes. The XL will beep when it's ready to go to the next step, and I'll push continue. So as I'm pushing this filament through, I'm hoping that I'm going to hear something finally beep. Nothing. So I get irritated and remove the filament completely out again. I start thinking, well, maybe the other filament sensor is having an issue, even though that's never been the case. So I just yank this out, and I'm not super careful with my filament, but I figure I'm going to just go ahead and cut the very end with a little bit different angle and see if that's all it was. It just had to be a little bit more intense of an angle. I finally get that loaded again. You guys know how much I love loading the filament on this machine. I'm super hopeful that this is going to be the trick, so I move the camera back down and just kind of jam the filament in a couple of times. And it finally works. It's going to let me continue and load the black filament. It beeps again when it's finished, and of course I need to purge it again. Never seems like it works on the first go. Okay, I finally got it. The black filament is loaded. and this print can keep going. The black ends up printing great, and we went ahead and just printed the other 2 flowers on the MK4 because we were just tired of messing with it. It pops off the build plate great. The print itself turned out really good. I saw a few online that weren't very smooth on the top, but they look great. The white and the black are both very smooth. I also don't see any seams along the edges. I don't see any issues with stringing. It turned out really good. Okay, so let's put it all together. You can see below on the stems a little bit where there was some sagging. I mean, it was just printing in space. I really should have done supports on this. We considered printing it again, but it doesn't seem like it's going to show once we put it in the pot. Then underneath, it's kind of hard to get the lighting right here, but there is a tiny bit of sagging all the way up in the bridging, but overall it did really good, and it does snap into the pot just fine. The stems themselves, it was aligned, but the seams, they look okay. I don't love that they're not perfectly straight, but it's okay. And you can see it does snap in really easily at this full-size scale. Everything looks really good. I switched to the different camera so you can see the flowers a little bit. The tallest one is the XL, and the 2 shorter ones were the MK4, but they look very similar, all the same sheen. They look great. This print altogether ends up being 8 inches tall, or about 200 millimeters. Let me know if you would print this and what colors you would use. Thanks for watching.